Every year we bring focus to the nativity story at Christmas, and it's the reason for the season, so there's very good reason for it. And there's a lot of details that we all sort of know. We know that Mary and Joseph were, as we think of it, engaged. They, by Jewish law, they were married at this point. We know that they went. There was an inn. There was no room, so they had to stay out in the manger. And of course, Jesus was born at that time. We know all of these details, but I think we oftentimes miss out on kind of the greater impact that the birth of this child uh, gave to the world. The various carols that we sing and that about Jesus, especially "Joy to the World" specifically comes to mind. Why is this so important? What is so significant about this birth all these years ago? And the key word, if I was going to sum it all up, is hope. For much of Israel's history, you had these prophecies that were being foretold of the coming of a Messiah. Israel, when you examine its history, it's a country that, due to many factors, some their own sin, others the fact of where they're located. They were a country that was often subjugated by invasion and horrible things by outside forces. And so there was this promise that God gave to them that eventually someone would come who would set all of this right, that would bring all things into contention. Now, there's even a deeper sort of thing behind this as well, which is the underlying issue of sin, which is talked about in Genesis as well, and that ties into this as well. This is the idea of the Messiah. This is the concept of this person who is coming to save the world and deliver the world from evil. To the Israelites, especially, it was seen as a deliverer for them themselves, and this hope they were all bottled up in, and they were all expecting it. And around Jesus' birth, in fact, there were many who claimed to be the Messiah. And then after his death as well, in many individuals, it had been predicted that this was the time, that this was the moment that the Messiah would come and be born and would, bring Israel out of its oppression. And so that hope is there. That hope is here in this birth. But of course, that's not what Jesus did. And that's because there's that greater hope that of a deliverance from sin, from the problems that face all of us, whether you're Jew or Gentile, that central problem in humanity that causes us to do things that hurt each other and hurt ourselves, and make a divide between us and God. And it's important that Jesus was born to correct this, to do the work that was on Easter. And the story, that is the underlying importance of it. And even within here, we see details that tie into it. One of the big predictions, one of the big parts of this prophecy was that the Messiah would come from the line of David, that he would be born in Bethlehem. And Jesus' birth here fulfills that prophecy. And in that way, paves the way for hope. So maybe you are out there today and you're going through rough spots in a rough spot in your life, and you need hope. You need something to look forward to. Know that Jesus, came. He lived uh, like us. He lived as a human being. He experienced a lot of the things that we experienced. He went through struggles of his own, the depression, difficulties, all those types of things he faced. And so he gets us. He understands us. He understands what we have been through, and you can lean on him in that way. And you can also find hope in him, not just in his story, but in the work that he did, and the knowledge that at the end of it all, that all things will be set right. That there will be a day when the righteous are rewarded and the wicked are punished. Amen.